Welcome to That Guy Talks Movies. I am that guy talking movies, and on this quick episode, I'm going to talk about the latest film from Alex Garland called Civil War. Now, I saw a couple trailers for this, and it seemed interesting. I was kind of curious as to where it was going to go. I mean, considering the current state of our country and where we are, and we're in an election year, to make a movie called Civil War when there's already kind of, that climate or tension already exists within our country, I was just wanted to know, I'm like, where do they go with this? What is the point? What are they going to do? And I was pleasantly surprised for the most part. I did enjoy this film, so I'll start that off, right from the beginning. I just felt that there was a lot missing to it. So let's just get into that. But, before we do that, if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button right there. If you want to hear more stuff about films and entertainment and stuff like that. To my loyal subscribers and followers, thank you for being here. Let's get into it. So this takes place in America. It's a civil war. It's in some near future, which might be nearer than we think, perhaps, as I've already alluded to. California and Texas form the Western forces, and they're fighting the rest of the country, or at least they're fighting the government. This film is told from the perspective of journalists. So photojournalists go on a mission to get from, I forgot where they started off, New York. They're in New York, and they've got to get to DC so they can interview the president before he's essentially killed by the Western forces. And they're pretty sure that their clock is ticking on this. So that's what this whole thing is. It's a journalistic perspective on a civil war, which lends itself to what you believe would be objectivity, right? So this is a very apolitical film. There is no sense of it's us versus them. It's, these bad guys, good guys. Although I believe that the government in this case, from the clues that are giving as far as the actual president, he seems to be the bad guy in this. So this seems to be something where you have a country and you've got a faction of people who are not satisfied with the government, or the government has, become this totalitarian type of state, and they are after the president. They're going to take back the country. That's kind of where this is going. Again, I'm not going to address the obvious correlation between the current climate and what's going on in government and different people. I'm not even going to do that. I'll let you do your own thing. And the film pretty much does the same thing. It doesn't point anything out. It doesn't say one way or the other who's right, who's wrong. Even the scenes where you see people fighting, when you come across these different scenarios, which is what happens here. So you got Ragnar Mora, Kirsten Dunst, Kaylee Spaney, Nick Offerman plays the president, and Jesse Plemons is in this, and Stephen McKinley. We'll get more on those guys later, but essentially Ragnar Moore and Kirsten Dunst and Kaylee Spaney play photojournalists. Kaylee Spaney being the younger photojournalist who's just getting into this, and she's about to be taken on a ride to really learn what it's really like to be in a war zone. And Kirsten Dunst is the veteran, photojournalist. This is, again, from the perspective of not taking sides, not doing anything, let's just show you what's going on. And that's what this film really is. And that's all there is to it. The things that make it, for me, empty are the fact that while it's, again, apolitical, I still felt like there needed to be some sense of, well, what happened? How did we get here, to some degree? And maybe that was hard to do because they are trying to remain, again, apolitical. They're not trying to, say who started what or who did what. Again, I think slightly because of the hints given to that the presidency or the government seems to be the bad guy, they could have figured a way to do that. But it's kind of just this view of what civil war would look like going through the country. And these journalists take us along on that ride, and they kind of have to circumvent going down south. They have to go through Pittsburgh and come around, and that's the safest route to go. And they wind up bumping into these different things that are happening and these war zones. And a lot of it is terrifying. A lot of it is, thought-provoking and again, terrifying. Like, what would you do in the middle of a civil war? What would the towns look like? What would the highways look like? What would people be fighting over? Who would be killing who? How does it work? And some of the scenes, getting back to what I was saying earlier, some of the scenes where they come across people who are firing upon each other or fighting in different, like a house, there's a guy in a house and there's people, and they're not even sure who they're fighting. They just know he's trying to kill me, so I'm trying to kill him, which is probably the most profound statement or part of the whole film, if you really break everything down, is this idea that we don't even know who we're fighting. We just know that someone over there is against me and I'm against him. Again, current climate of this country. Now, I think the performances from everyone pretty much, and the way this thing, plays out is fine. I mean, there are some things that are kind of like, I think Stephen McKinley Henderson, who I like, but I feel like he was just added to lend, the old veteran journalist role to this and didn't really serve to do much other than that and create sort of a forced, contrived, poetic moment in the film. Speaking of poetic moments, there are some really good shots in this, some incredible photography and some really visual stuff that just captures what this country would look like if it was at war with itself. I think that there's another forced moment in this, which kind of didn't happen, but it attempts to be extremely poetic and ironic at the same time. And the way it happens, and it's also kind of foreshadowed earlier. I'm not going to give spoilers. I'm just going to say, I just thought we could have done without that. There's also some really poor choice in musical choices here. Like I'm all for the juxtaposition of like a pop culture song or some like Kanye West, Jay-Z song that's being put over some scene that doesn't seem like it would fit there. But in this case, I scratch my head and I'm watching a scene. I'm like, what was the purpose of it? And it's a great song, but I'm like, what was the purpose of that? Like, I didn't get that at all. I tried to figure it out, but it didn't really work. Anyway, it's a great film. The highlight for me, if I have to get into the best part of the entire film, is the sound. The sound mix here, the sound editing, this is going to probably take the Oscar for that. I would not be surprised. I'm not sure who else is going to be up for that. Probably Dune 2 being the biggest sort of sci-fi action thing going on. But when it comes to sound, the sound of the bullets, bombs, missiles, everything that takes place. There's a riveting scene at the end when they're actually in DC, the last part of this film, that is like, holy shit. I have not seen a film that really put me into that environment so realistically. I think the thing that immediately hit me was Heat, the shootout scene in Heat in downtown LA. That's what this reminded me of. I am very much looking forward to the 4K release of this. I will own it, not because I want to see the film over and over again, but it'll probably be, if they do it right, a reference quality 4K audio disc. The surround sound, the Dolby Atmos on this was insane. So to see this in a movie theater, definitely a must. Definitely take the time, spend your money, and go to a theater and see this film. Not to mention support a film from A24, Alex Garland. Go see this. It's worth seeing in the theater. Besides the emptiness of like, well, I wish there was something more telling as far as like what took place and how we got here without necessarily giving us a preachy kind of message or, telling us something. I would have preferred that. The standout performance in this, I don't even think I have to even. Jesse Plemons. Jesse Plemons has solidified him as like, he is you put this dude in any movie for 30 seconds, let him just stand there and he's going to be that dude. And his performance in this is fantastic. He's definitely the standout for me as far as performances go. And his scene also probably has the most weight when it comes to analyzing the negatives and the overall impact of a civil war on our own grounds and division. So that's it. Really, that's all I have to. I'm looking at my notes, and that's all I have to really say about this. I think it's definitely a worthwhile picture to go see. I think some people are going to expect to see a Civil War film where we're going to get a sense of like who's fighting who and who's the bad guys and good guys. You're not going to get that. You're going to go and you're going to witness this as a journalist would expect you to, in terms of objective. Don't make a decision. Don't take sides. Just photograph it. That's kind of what this is. It does a great job. Again, the sound is going to blow your mind. So that's it for me on That Guy Talks Movies. Civil War. Go see it. Like this video on the way out. If you've not liked this yet, hit the little thumb there. Truly appreciate that. If you've not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you. And I will see you on the next That Guy Talks Movies.